6. You have exactly 8 hours and 54 minutes to ponder the error of your ways. Any questions?
Yeah. Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
A brain, a beauty, a jock, a rebel, and a recluse.
I can't believe this is really happening to me.
I gotta go back and watch that.
It's awesome, yes. That was a quick look at the trailer from the 1985 cult classic, The Breakfast Club. It's just one of the many 80s pop culture moments that inspired the new book, Raised on the 80s, 30-plus unexpected life lessons from the movies and music that define pop culture's most excellent decade.
Here now to tell more about what awesome 80s movies can teach us about life is author Chris Clues. Chris, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I picked the right shirt today based on the trailers. That's
oh my
awesome.
God, that is serendipitous, I got to tell you. All right, so you're on the couch, you're throwing a pity party for yourself in your 40s, and The Outsiders comes on, and you jump up, and it changed your life.
Yeah, it was The Outsiders and The Breakfast Club. So it's great that you brought up The Breakfast Club. John Bender at one point in the movie, and I'd seen it 100 times or so, and I, obviously listened, but I hadn't really heard that line, "Screws fall out all the time, the world's an imperfect place." And I was in an imperfect place, and I thought, am I going to just put the same screws back in? And as Henry David Thoreau said, lead my life of quiet desperation, which is kind of what I was doing. Or am I going to get a whole new set of screws, a whole new door, and walk out to an entirely new journey? And that's what I did. And with The Outsiders, Johnny Cade said, you still have a lot of time to make yourself be what you want. I was a 46-year-old entrepreneur. It wasn't 25 or 35, 46. But everybody out there, you still have a lot of time to make yourself be what you want. And if I can do it, anybody can.
Well, I love that you can learn these life lessons and have fun. And you really divided this up. Let's talk about trading places. That can teach us the difference between confidence and arrogance.
Yes, Billy Ray Valentine's character, played by Eddie Murphy, one of the the greats from the 80s and onward as well. So Billy Ray Valentine, his character, he's starting a new job as a commodities broker. He's very nervous, but we've seen before this, he's a very smart guy. He's very capable of doing this job. But the night before, he's really nervous, and he says to Coleman, the butler, Coleman, what if I can't do this job? What if I'm not what they expected? And he says, just be yourself, sir. They can't take that away from you. And in that moment, we realize, because we know that he can do this job, the difference between confident people and arrogant people is that confident people question themselves, arrogant people question others. It's this imposter syndrome that we hear about. Recently we've used that buzzword, imposter syndrome, and that's what he was feeling. But if you're questioning yourself, that's actually a really good thing. That's how you get better.
Dead Poets Society is probably one of my favorite movies, but it's very deep. What can we learn from that particular movie?
I'm glad you brought up Dead Poets Society, because John Keating, the character played by Robin Williams, we all know the saying, carpe diem, seize the day, but he says something more important to the kids. He says, no matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world. And in the palm of our hands now, we actually have the ability to get our words and ideas out to the world. It's the great equalizer. And it's important to know this, because it is important to talk, but you've got to walk the walk as well. And for me, walking the walk is animal rescue. I have an 80-pound pit mix sitting at my feet right now, my rescue dog, Bodie, who's named after Patrick Swayze's character from Point Break. Thank you for putting up that picture. I love him to death. And this idea of no matter what anybody that tells you, words and ideas can change the world, but you got to take action as well. And my action is animal rescue. I actually donate a portion of the proceeds from my book sales and my speaking gigs to Wonderpal's Rescue, which is the rescue that saved Bodie.
That is awesome. And it's funny, I was just watching, I thought our kids should know some of the movies that we love. So my husband and I sat our kids down on vacation and watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And we're thinking, it's probably not the best message, but in fact, you say there's a positive message there besides just skipping school.
That's right. Yeah, besides the whole work-life balance thing or school-life balance thing, yes, absolutely. What I think a lot of people miss in that movie is what he did for Cameron, his best friend. If you remember at the beginning of the movie, he talks about how negative and pessimistic Cameron is. And we see this in Cameron, how when Ferris says, you're going to take this day off with me, and he says, I can't, I'm sick, I'm going to die. And of course, Ferris, he says, you're coming with us, myself and Sloane, his girlfriend, who are the most optimistic and positive people in the world. They took a huge risk. They took all this time to plan this day off. And Cameron could have easily ruined it with his pessimism. But they understood that he needed it more than that. And when we help a friend, we help ourselves in the process. This is a really important lesson, I think. Everybody has a Cameron in their life. Take that person out to lunch, take them out to breakfast, maybe take them out for a day. But the important thing is recognize that they need it more than you do.
Well, Elon did you well there, Mr. Clues. We can't thank you enough for being on our show.
Thank you so much for having me. Stay rad, everybody.
Stay rad. All right.
And for more information or to buy a copy of Raised on the 80s, super fun book, you can visit Chris Clues, spelling right there on the screen, .com. That could be a great holiday gift.
A great holiday gift. I was just thinking this.